Every day a new day, move things, do things like my life a movie, hey. Every day new day, move things, do things like my life a movie, hey. Every day a new day, move things, do things like my life a movie, hey. Every day new day, move things, do things like my life a movie, hey.
Welcome everybody to the Smoking Tingz podcast, episode number 12. We made it. We're in a new month, new year still. Once again, you know what it is. Ebou Taal, Black, Virgo, African. We're right here at the Smoking Tingz Dispensary and Smoke Shop on North Capitol Street, Northeast DC, for all your adult treats. Dispensary needs, mushroom needs, all of that stuff. We're here. Make sure to come check us out every day of the week till 9 p.m. We have another guest with us today, a community activist. But before we get to him, we're going to do our normal intros just in case you forgot. We got my sister to my left over here.
Jane_Doe, you know what it is.
Yeah, she made that jump.
Big Rob 5826, keep it knocking, but I ain't gonna let you in.
Boom, boom.
And this your boy Eddie B. Welcome back.
Yeah.
Showtime.
Both
with
of
a
y'all.
Y.13.
You are with the Y. Look, we held you down when you weren't here. We said the whole thing.
No question.
I said Showtime with a Y. She said Showtime
hold
13.
on, check this out. So, I watched the episode, man. And first of all, I want to say it was an amazing episode.
It was a fun episode.
I had fun.
Definitely.
And I tuned in on the live, caught the back end of it. So, I was over there, man, smiling, man. Just,
that's what's up.
Excited, man. It was a good one, man. And I know this one right here is going to be a good one. So, welcome back.
Welcome back. So without further ado, our guest today, I'll let him introduce himself, give him his social media. We'll jump into it.
Okay, my social media is Mr_Ward_6. And everybody in the neighborhood call me Mr. Ward 6. Nathan Brown is my real name. I prefer Nate Brown, but I take whichever one.
And native Washingtonian, right?
Born and raised.
Yeah, from this neighborhood, like around here.
Some Quarters, Temple Courts.
What's up?
Yeah. Known as the Noma area now.
Noma.
Yeah. I don't want to say for the gentrifiers, you know what I'm saying? Because I ain't trying to start nothing. Yeah.
We're going to get into the gentrification. We'll get to it for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, tell us about, growing up in DC in this area and, your family. You off camera, we were talking about your brothers and whatnot before you. And, what led you to get into the community activist role?
Well, initially, my mother had started this community activist thing. In 2008, there was a murder on a property called Temple Courts and a murder also on a property called Some Quarters. 2 different murders. But when the second murder came, which was down Temple Courts where I lived at the bottom of the hill on North Capitol and K, DC said we had enough. We're gonna shut down Temple Court. We're not gonna shut down the well-renowned Some Quarters. We're gonna shut down Temple Courts.
Right.
So my mother was on the board and on the panel with the community activists in the neighborhood, which she was one of them, and the ANC commissioner. She stepped forward and was like, man, we just want the right to return if this was gonna happen. And of course, a lot of them stories was told of what they were gonna do.
Yeah.
And I was just the one who followed up on it to see if it was gonna happen. I mean, through organizing, we got 220 residents documented to be able to come back out of 700 family members who already left from around there. Less than half. It's not I wouldn't say it's a bad accomplishment, but I would have did more if it was in my means.
But it was still something.
Yeah, it was a good step. I mean, it did a lot for people who didn't have opportunities or have a voice. Yeah.
Well, I remember DC initially had they gave you first rights to come back, then they gave you first rights of refusal.
There you go.
When they eliminated these things.
You on one. You know something.
Yeah. It's kind of, I'm a native Washingtonian. I used to live in Tyler House at one time.
Okay, there we go.
And so I went to tech and stuff like that. So,
Dunbar, baby.
Yeah, no question.
Dunbar, baby.
We understand the great changes we done seen also. It's just,
Well, maybe we should take a step back for people who don't understand what happens when a neighborhood is closed down and then what has happened with the residents. So if you can explain that part of it, because some people don't even understand that, which is why gentrification is such an issue in DC.
They got to have or create an economical strain. So when the property value drops in a community, now the buyers hear about how low it is in the community to buy it. Are we going to buy it? They can't afford to keep it up. And the government going to back out. They already backed out for the strain to happen. Now you got buyers from other places all coming together, spend the money, move us out, make promises saying that they're going to allow us to come back. And then what happens is a certain group makes it in, which is the group who got the money, and they trying to resell for a high price. But in the meantime, they still, people trying to figure out where they're going to stay during this whole entire time. Some people decide to come back. Some people were refused for, man.
Many of reasons.
Yeah, there you go. I like how you did that.
You got many reasons why people might get refused though, but like you said, it's a process.
But it be reasonable.
Like I used to go to the tax auctions.
Okay.
Right, it's right there.
For the properties, yeah.
Everything is in your neighborhood. It's
exactly.
Kind of weird,
man.
I actually, IRS there and everything. I dealt with everything down there. But when I went to the tax auctions, I got to really see it firsthand. I sat down because they got one day they're doing Southeast, one day they're doing Southwest, Northeast, Northwest, and you get to see people who don't even realize that these properties are up for sale.
There you go.
And it's crazy because they got groups that come from other places and they sit there and they purchase the properties, right? And after purchasing the properties, they got a certain amount of time and it's in the paper and stuff. But we don't, if you want to hide something from
our people, put it in a book.
And they won't look for it.
Yeah.
And the newspaper's just like a book. And so I know, I can imagine, I admire the kind of work, you do. I never had that urge, but I know it's a special urge to go out and fight for your community like that. Because a lot of people believe if you sell out and they allow you to move to Maryland or Virginia to other places, that you came up, but you can't come up if your people been here since the 30s or the 40s and you giving up properties.
There you go.
That you in. New York people, if you see a lot of times, some of these apartments, they got been passed down from generation to generation because they're smart enough to know to keep it.
There you go.
In the family in some manner. Because certain things are so expensive over time.
And also, it got to start from somewhere. Somebody got to change what had already took place. You talking about Washington, D.C., you talking about the crack epidemic, bruh. The war on drugs. One of the most vicious time in Washington, D.C. history, I had 4 brothers. One of them played for Dunbar basketball team, and 3 of them was in the streets. And all of them died from the remnants of what happened in the streets. I lost 2 brothers in the last 2 years. So that just showed you how vicious DC was and how hard it was. And neither one of my brothers made it past 55. So to see DC devour you based on decisions that were made beyond us, because as I indicated before when I talked to people, I went to Gonzaga, and I talked to a different demographic of people. Right. And in that meeting, they said to me, well, I remember prostitutes running on K Street, crack was everywhere. And, I had to bring the cricket in the room. How did the crack get into the community? We don't own no boats.
That's right.
But that was the conversation that was had with the teacher saying it. So now the students hear me respond, and it made it make sense. Yeah, it made them like,
wondering.
Who is it? Yeah, like, we never thought of it that way. That wasn't the way our parents told us, you know what I'm saying? Obviously, yeah.
That's not the way the history books tell them.
Either, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like they say, it's his story. So whoever wrote that history book and what they wanted you to know,
that's right.
That's what you know. That's what they teach. That's why they're trying to change the curriculum in all these schools to actually teach Black history and what really happened in this era and that era, because everybody just thinks crack, cocaine, all this stuff just came out of nowhere and it just was in the Black community by magic. And, we're old enough in here to know, and just by, whatever methods, that's not exactly how that all happened. You know what I mean?
And now it's more insight on it too. You know, with social media,
for sure.
you got, people like yourself that's, able to get, the word out on how it's been. And we hear other people speak about it in their cities. So, we're aware now, and now it's just like what you telling us, what you speaking on today. What's the root? How do we get to the bottom and start catching it, when it's first, bubbles up?
We just had something similar happen with the opioid crisis.
Fentanyl and all this.
Yeah.
But this what it is. The attention thing is different because you got all these white people getting affected. And when white people get affected, it's a problem that can be solved. When black people get affected,
you going to jail.
Right. It's something we got to come there with an iron hand of the justice system. And let me get this straight. I want everybody to understand something. I'm not a spring chicken. So I've been around a long time.
Yeah.
I remember.
We hear your wisdom.
But I remember being part of the problem in my neighborhood. Yeah. And at the same time, I remember the teachers, the community leaders. I remember the pastors. Everybody was trying to find an answer to this crack epidemic. So I'm not mad with them, and I'm not mad that they reached out to the government and to the officials that they expected to protect them. And I don't think it's no grand master scheme or plan to hurt black people. I don't believe that's what happened. I believe that in the process of reaching out for help, the white man and the government tried to help the way they thought they could, way they always did, by locking us up. And then we found out that was not the answer either.
Exactly.
So it's trial and error. It's like somebody working on your car. You say, I hear it knocking. I don't know where it's coming from, but I'm gonna keep checking the car. It's called, you trying to find out the problem in the car. And so you do what they call troubleshooting. The problem is in troubleshooting, you're gonna use supplies and things, and the supplies and things was our futures and our people. And when you use them up, you realize how bad you hurt us. So I'm not, Nate, what you doing right now, to bring them back, I don't care how small the herd was, you brought the herd home. You feel what I'm saying?
I appreciate that,
you
bro.
brought 10 people back.
Yeah.
You can say, man, listen, I did what I could do.
Man.
Because I never tried to do that. I wasn't courageous enough, or it wasn't my calling to do what you're doing.
They say that all the time. They was like, bruh, you got so much fucking heart. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you need that. You need that moment from your own telling you, hey, Slim, you doing it, man. You doing something I wish I had the heart to do. Or a pat on the back, or, man, I get anonymous phone calls all the time. Like, man, Nate, man, it was so dope how you stepped in front of that crowd, man. And then before my brother died, before he died from a heart attack, he said, I'm so proud of you, Slim. You know what I'm saying? He said, you one of one. You the first one out of all your brothers who made it away from that lifestyle and then turned the whole thing around. Like, you could have just failed just as easy as any one of us. Coming from around certain quarters, you know what I'm saying? It ain't nothing but trouble waiting for you when you walk out that door, man.
Yeah, man, I got some good men from our side, man, so we know.
Yeah.
It's
kind of crazy, though, when you think about it. I lost my brother when he was 18, you know what I'm saying? And so that's a pain that don't never go away. Like, it's a pain that's like, it leave a hole in you. It's hard to have somebody you grew up with from diapers and from the beginning, from their beginning to their end, and know it was a short story, So I definitely, if you tell me you lost 3.
I lost 3.
And
my first brother got killed when I was 8 years old.
See.
Murder. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
the murder capital.
Yeah, that's rough.
That's
rough.
Yeah.
How old are you, brother? You don't mind me asking?
I'm 38.
Okay.
So imagine 25 years of basically carrying my other brother. Mm-hmm. Man, it was like he was a walking dead, man. 25 years talking about the same story about how my brother got murdered. Mm-hmm. My eldest brother, he got tired, caught a couple of strokes. He couldn't carry him no more. You know what I'm saying? Then the brother that's over top of me, man, he got all the stories. So the trauma is in him through the alcohol. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying like he nonstop alcohol, but to face reality, he parties nonstop. He settles with nothing,
Right.
So I see him struggling, and I want to say something to him, but I'm like, you don't want to let it out. You know what I'm saying? I see you on Man Time, but I'm watching you through the trauma and the way you moving, man.
But if you feel the need to holler at him, you feeling that.
Yeah.
You do it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because
You don't get a second
He's saying
chance.
everything.
Yeah.
He's
There's a
saying
lot
everything.
of people in our city hurting, and that's how they coping with it.
Yeah.
we all come from that, for sure. So, yeah, you gotta just, you don't know in the moment, right? But you won't feel it.
I'm telling you, man.
Because it's y'all.
Yeah, that's it, man.
You know what I'm saying?
Me and him, and I got 2 sisters. You know what I'm saying? A youngest and the eldest sister. Yeah.
How long you actually been in it since 08? Your mom was in it before you. You said she brought you into it.
Yeah.
And so you said 08 is when you got into it physically yourself?
I want to say not immediately in 08, probably like 2011.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they shut it down. I was gone from the neighborhood. I came back. I moved back around the neighborhood just a block away in the Savannah. And when I moved back around there, it was just so funny. This lady walked up to me and was like, your neighborhood a parking lot. How you feel about that? You asked the right person. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm mad. I'm mad my neighborhood a parking lot. I rep this joint. I bled for this joint. I watched my brothers bleed for this joint. I watched good men bleed for this joint and gone. You came to the right person. She asked me, man, well, let's set up something to get it back. Let's set up something to get it back. I never forget that moment. It started everything. I started coming to meetings with her. She started setting me down with the mayor. My first action was 350 people in Holy Redeemer Church. I had 2 kids then. I got 3 now. I had my son, little Nate, who playing basketball, 12 years old now. I had my daughter, Jade, and they watching their father on the stage. Like, the stage, you know how high them church stages is in the Catholic Church. So I hear, as I'm talking to the councilman at that time, I hear my kids yelling out, that's my daddy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Making a difference.
Man, that moment right there, it was all you wrote after that.
Yeah.
I went hard, like a good 8 years straight, going downtown battling. No support. Nobody want, you know how people, when they say in the building, then my phone started ringing. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
When the construction started, my phone started ringing. But before all that, I'm in every single meeting they had. I only missed 1 meeting. That was on DC 28. They would have been heard the alarm about me being on TV. You know, I just recently got on TV.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
These were ANC meetings or?
man, I went to ANC meetings. I went to personal meetings with the mayor and the neighborhood councilman.
And what was the pushback?
What you mean, like, what was the response?
Yes, what was the pushback? Because I'm guessing you went to all these meetings and a lot of things wasn't happening. So what was the pushback during these meetings?
They basically, they didn't want us to be a part of the process. We wasn't a part of the plan.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we weren't a part of the plan. The plan was to move on.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, the plan was to
right.
include
Get you
no
guys out of
resident,
there.
and I want this to be the blueprint for every community that's going through it right now. Berry Farms, Kenilworth, Clay Terrace. I'm DC, baby. You know what I'm saying? I know what's happening.
No question.
640.
Right.
I want all y'all to know about the blueprint.
Yeah.
And
And it don't include us.
it don't include, it's not for us, you know?
A lot of people have knocks like on I actually have dealt with different, you deal with women, and they weren't natives of DC.
Yeah.
And so a woman I dealt with, she actually was from somewhere else, and so she got into the DC government and stuff like that when Fenty was in. And I remember me speaking so highly of Marion Barry and explaining how much he did for the city and how he held the city together with duct tape and bubble gum for a long time.
The greatest.
Right. And I tell people that, and when I remember telling her that, and she looked at me like, I don't know this man that you know. I know a man in the city council that votes against his own self-interest, the things he had already built. I watch her, I say, that's great. But what I'm telling you, I remember our city, we had such city pride. In DC, we had the pride we have, we so proud to say we're from DC.
I'm trying to tell you.
And I think that when we do have a native son like yourself that steps forward, it's not so unusual. Because I remember we were young. Well, you're younger than me, but I remember a white man, Mitch Snyder. He was a wealthy man, and he ended up taking care of the homeless here. And he did it for years and years, and he fought the city so hard on trying to find, ways to feed the hungry and ways to house the homeless and stuff like that. He ended up committing suicide here. But I remember watching him, and he got a platform because he had wealth at first. Right? And he was white.
Yeah.
But I remember Marionberry, I remember all the different members of the ward that actually they worked with him to get everything from an Anacostia subway station done, to get different subways put together. They didn't want us to have a subway.
Come on now.
They want us to work in their houses, work in their stores, spend money in their communities, the places we grew up, and they didn't even want us to have a subway to get to and from. So I remember this, you know what I mean? And what I'm saying is, like, even with what you're doing right now, man, this is like, you can't get this back. You can't steal this from you. You know what I'm saying? So when you're proud that your folks see you, you're proud that your kids see you. I mean, this is amazing. Like, it's amazing that we watching it. But like you said, the big word that we ain't speak about, we haven't mentioned, you great mentioned, that's gentrification. If people hear the word all the time and toss it around, may not completely understand what it is. Could you please give everybody, the good folks out here listening, understanding what gentrification is in the basic form?
The most basic form I could tell you is when your neighborhood isn't worth anything, and it's a deadline when your place could be bought because it's so low economically. When you come from poverty-restricted communities, such as the places that I just named, I just want to backtrack even talking about the educational system. They didn't even teach us properly how to even know about real estate, how to know about property value or property taxes. So credit nothing.
None of it, yeah.
So
actually, what makes a neighborhood value get low?
Education.
Low-income housing.
Education, crime, all of it breaking down.
Education,
Once you get it to the lowest point, that's when the vultures come in.
Exactly.
So the crime pretty much brings value
where
down.
Crime is one thing. You can have a neighborhood with no crime. It got to be everything, like he said. I met a lady. I saw a lady who her taxes. Imagine this. She moved here in the 30s with her husband. The house been paid for. Her husband passed away in like the 80s. And she had to get on TV and explain that the taxes meet what she makes with her Social Security. So her money that she makes is barely enough to pay the taxes. It's about the overflow past that. Listen what I just said. Her home is paid for.
There you go.
Well, we're not even just talking about that. You're talking about apartment buildings. These people don't even own those buildings. Those are all. It's a lot of factors into gentrification. People are not understanding.
Like that.
Yeah.
Because see, I ain't.
But like he said, when you put blood, sweat, and tears into something, we do own it. We own it.
But in reality,
you know what I'm saying?
don't, and people don't understand that.
As a renter.
As a
in
renter.
That apartment, you don't know that you could possibly buy this building that you're renting.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that's what we was talking about earlier, first rights of refusal. Things they got rid of that they gave renters more control than what they have now.
When they had it, did they know about it?
No.
See what I'm saying?
The only group that knew.
That's why I didn't know.
No.
But those are the things that people need to understand about what the deep-rooted behind gentrification. They just hear gentrification, they hear, oh, you knock down a building, build new houses, and white people move in. No, it's deeper than that. If you have an apartment building, you're living in an apartment building, and your grandmother lived in that apartment building, and her rent was $300, that building is not worth nothing. When you have people that are ready to buy it for millions, sell it, the government makes all that money from taxes, and what they do is make an IZ program so you can fake move people in.
Inclusionary zone for the people who don't know.
Exactly, fake move people in, but they don't understand that the IZ program is damn near impossible to actually get an apartment.
Hey, you good.
That's why I really want him to explain it, because people are not going to understand the background behind it.
It's a deep layered system. Like I said, education and jobs. That's them the main two that starts poverty before anything.
That's right.
If those two not in order first, that's your groundwork right there. If you don't got the education to understand your property taxes or your property value, you ain't got nothing. That's first.
Inheritance tax.
Yeah.
My grandparents had a house up Upshur, Northwest. That house was paid off, and it was then passed down to my father and his 3 siblings. That house was worth millions. But when it was inherited to them, it was valued at $800,000. There was no inheritance tax paid on it. So when they did decide to sell it to a real estate agency for them to then knock it down and build it back up, guess what? They had to give them people 40% of the earnings to the government.
But don't
because
forget,
no inheritance tax was paid.
Yeah, and don't forget about the loopholes in D.C. You don't own the land in D.C. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You don't own the land in D.C. Yeah.
People out here, you cannot own land in the district. I think the only people that own land in the district is the Catholic Church.
Come on now.
Outside of that, nobody else owns land here.
Man.
Nobody owns the land.
That's any federal
no, but
property or whatever.
But DC, the city of DC, you cannot own. You can live here since they broke ground. You and George Washington could have kicked the bobo.
Yeah.
It makes no difference. You cannot own land in DC
whatsoever.
The only entity that I know that owns land in the district is the Catholic Church.
That's it.
Literally.
I'm sure.
Because it's a federal. DC is a federal territory.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, you can't show me. You can't show me no other place like that in the United States.
No, I'm agreeing, but
so
I'm
he's
saying,
telling the people, just make
which
sure
is another reason why.
Yeah,
which is another reason why people always are fighting so much for DC statehood,
right?
And stuff like
I was going to say, you see what just happened 2 days ago, right?
No,
is that why they wanted to make it
about the veto vote for Biden?
One of them.
No, I didn't say it.
That on some other stuff.
2 days ago,
reasons too.
2 days ago, DC tried to make a change on the the criminal laws here, and Biden did not step up to the plate to back DC. You had a few senators that spoke and said that he should have did this, that, and the third, but you gotta understand, taxation without representation is not just a slogan on the plate of a car. Do a little bit of homework, people, and you understand that we pay taxes, right? And we don't have any representation in this Senate.
And everybody else got two.
And everybody got two.
Yeah.
Just do a little bit of homework, like I said.
And we got the population for that.
We have 700,000 residents here. We outweigh some cities. I mean, in some states, North Dakota and South Dakota, I think it's 20 people live in the motherfuckers. But I'm trying to tell you, I know, like what he's saying, the thing is, I actually lived it. 70s, 80s, and 90s, 2000s, or whatever, and I lived it. So I watched the changes like, it's no spring chicken. We always say it. And Nate will tell you, it's like, it's the residents of the district. The reason I say this again, the residents of the district, I don't care if it's apartments, I don't care if it's homes, I don't care what it is. We had so much power.
Yes.
Because we had these things, what we keep explaining, it's called first rights of refusal.
Yes.
We had a chance to anything that come our way as a collective body, we can refuse the deal.
There you go.
We could refuse it, and we were able to get in these spots, and they took this away from us some years ago. And when they took it, that's when gentrification became a really big thing in the district, and it made them easy to take us over. That's when you had to have native sons like Nate, people like that to step up and say, "Hold up, it's a loophole and everything." One thing about it, they ain't never built a prison that you can't get out of, and so he's trying to. He's disappointed he couldn't get 100% out.
Well,
There's
also what he
thing.
was saying about education, right?
Go ahead.
So with gentrification, like I was going about the IZ program, what people don't understand about the IZ program, because I actually signed up for it. I live in DC.
My sister did too.
And you go to the meeting and you think it's just this great thing. You sit for 2-3 hours, you learn this information, you sign these papers, and now hopefully you can get on the list to find an apartment. No.
It's a lottery.
It's a lottery. And guess what? It goes by stages. First, you have to be a DC resident. Then you have to also work in DC. Then you have to have children that live in DC and go to a DC public schools. Then after you get all that stuff done, right, it's phases to it. Then if you do get qualified for one of these expensive, nice, new-ass buildings, you also have to have good credit. If you don't even have the education, you don't even know what credit is. They're not even teaching that.
Yeah, I agree.
So then you have that. Then you have learning, jobs. The job, like if somebody is making $12 an hour, even if you're on the IZ program and you're paying $800 a month in rent, plus all the other fees that they add on to that, and you only get to live in that place for a year.
Right.
And after that, you can either attempt to apply again for the lottery and stay in that same building, or you now have to find somewhere else to live.
I'm telling you.
It's a system is set up for failure.
It is.
Literally for failure.
I seen a girl stay in the system so long that her kid was grown.
So let me ask you.
And what that
And look, so the system, they trying to gentrify everything, right? So where does the power come from? Like what? The whole, like let's say we all live in the community and they come to us, or they came to you, and then you come to us saying, look, they trying to take over this area. All of us as a collective, we need to go to the board meeting. We need to be there and showing numbers that we ain't going for this.
That's what has to happen. If you don't got the people first, even though you know the money still gonna find its way, but the people will let them know we ain't going for nothing. That's how we was able to hold strong.
And that's what
we was 95% in DC. This was the chocolate city. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, we the chocolate milk city now. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's a blend. Yeah. It's not a vibe. It's a blend. You know what I'm saying? So, like, and no disrespect to none of my fellow gentrifiers, you know? I just believe in inclusion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe in inclusion.
Because they do too, ultimately.
Yeah, I mean.
So we just want to balance it out.
And create the relationships. And, you know, like I was on the basketball court and the guy said, I was on colors. He said, we out all the basketball. Where do people play basketball? I said, gentrification.
Yeah.
He said, I'm sorry, man. I'm one of the people who gentrified.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm sorry. I'm like, nah, I ain't nothing to apologize for, not on your behalf. But our local politicians, our leaders.
Yeah, not getting the word out there.
Man, nobody run the alarm. The city went on sale, and we didn't know nothing about it. Nobody run the alarm.
It was a sale going on. We ain't know
nothing about.
Yeah.
City planning happens in Washington, D.C. every 10 years. Some places 20, some places 30. They tell you what your city gonna look like.
That's right.
But guess what? You ain't know nothing about going downtown and check that out. And we were just talking about that off camera.
Right.
It's somebody in that demographic down there, like a classroom, while you at work.
That's right.
Waiting for that opportunity for that bell to ring. It's time to eat. It's time to eat.
That's when you see that.
Well, see, I remember in a part of the city when they were, I tried to purchase a building, right? And I was trying to buy it just for the, I wanted to do a car wash, something basic, because there was a lot of cars coming to the area. And I felt, but I wanted to, so I made an inquiry about the purchase. Now you got to remember, this is in 91, 92. I remember making an offer, and I remember them saying no. So it caught my eye. So I made a bigger offer. They said no. I sent my lawyer, and I made an obscene offer, and they said no. They said he can lease it as long for this period of time, but he can't buy it. I'm not going to tell you the area, but that area right now, if I would have owned that building, I would be worth $50 or $60 million right now. Now, what I'm telling you is, what I'm saying, it sounds goofy and stupid, but this particular area, if they remember, it was a bunch of warehouses. It really wasn't nothing going on. So to buy this warehouse, to buy that particular building and turn into a car wash, it was an easy throw. Not knowing that the people that were going to lease it to me but refused to sell it to me at any amount already knew that 10 years in advance what this area was going to become.
Look like.
And what these tall buildings were going to look like. And I laughed and I said, man, something's going on here. But at that particular time, my education limited me on how much I knew.
Limited all of us.
I can go on so I just chased the fact that it's strange they keep me out of this room. And I thought because of, money would let me in the room, but it's really not money. It's just, you got to know where to be at these meetings.
There you go.
You got to be at these judges. You got to understand the laws. You got to understand the verbiage that people are spitting at you and understand how to come back at them. Like with natives passing on to people right now, they think it's just, hey, he's helping us with this. No, he's helping you with everything.
And you can reach out to him.
And definitely.
And
please give me your Instagram again and whatever I get at you. Mr_Ward_6 on Instagram. On Facebook, Nathan Brown. You can check out every one of them. My Twitter, Mr. Ward 6 also. And my TikTok, I'm struggling because they put numbers behind it. So we're going to have to work on that. We're going to have to tap it off of Instagram to get to my TikTok. Do you have any young activists, younger than yourself, or you like the baby in the room? Leaders create leaders. I'm a firm believer of that. And I'm working on somebody right now
this young dude, he remind me of the old DC. Like, he hard, man. He hard, man. I'm talking about the real hard. But I sat and I talked to him, and I see him doing stuff right now. What's that? Fatherhood. I think that's the name of the program. Violence Prevention Group in DC.
I've heard of that.
Yeah.
I heard it.
And I was telling them, like, you got so much influence over the youngest. You left the hood, but they were still following behind you. Imagine if you led them in the right direction to something spectacular with some good education, man.
Right.
And I ain't trying to talk that talk because I can relate to you on all levels, you know what I'm saying? Because I already been through the levels. But I want to give you game towards the point you could turn this thing around. It could be prosperous for a lot of people, including yourself. We all know the end story of that game. I done watched it 4 times over. That's just within my family. I just threw away 75 obituaries, you know what I'm saying? From all the OGs to the youngest. Because my sister was like, bruh, that's toxic, you know what I'm saying? You got a cemetery sitting in a binder, you know what I'm saying? But I wanted to always have that thought in front of me to keep me on the right track. Because at any moment, that could have been me, you know, at any moment. So she was like, man, throw it in the trash. I just threw it in the trash, you know?
Well, just piggybacking off of that with all the, you know, funerals and deaths that you've experienced, I think one other thing that's important for people to understand too, like obviously what we've said by going to the ANC meetings and educating yourself is a lot of the battle, but also the reason why these neighborhoods are they don't have any value, like we said, is crime and, you know,
no jobs.
Drugs, no jobs. So those things that kind of like we can control, like the violence, like, you know, people can, at this point, I do feel like there are jobs. People just don't want to, like a lot of these kids, I'm not talking about people in their 30s or 40s. I'm talking
There's
about
people in their 30s too.
and them too, but that little wild people out here right now that are carjacking everything moving, are all 16, 17, 15 years old. It's happened twice in front of this shop within the last month and a half. One of my partners and then the lady that owns the Chinese carryout next door.
Somebody carjacked them?
Yes, right here.
That's going crazy right now.
Like there's been there were 60 carjackings in DC, 64 carjackings in DC through February. All of last year there was like 20. So there's and they're rolling up on people with guns. They're not like, oh, just get out your car. No, they're pulling out 2, 3 of them. Everybody got a mask now, so that's not even like something that you look twice about or think twice about when you walk by somebody. Everybody's guard is down when it comes to that. But my point was,
I'm looking at you, niggas.
You know what I mean? Like the neighborhoods, you know.
But can I say something right quick, Ebou?
I'm trying. I was trying, yeah.
Because I got to stop you. Listen.
Yeah.
Everything he said, it started from one stone. The stone was education.
There you go.
The reason I'm saying that is because when I was growing up, you had electric in school. You could take you could be an electrician.
I was about to say that.
You could do wood shop.
There you go.
Right? You do plumbing.
Trades.
You had all these trades, right? They took and systematically eliminated.
We didn't have trades when I got to high school.
They eliminated trades from school.
We didn't have no trades.
After they eliminated trades, they eliminated all sports from middle school.
There you go.
Then they eliminated middle school altogether. They took junior high, they got rid of junior high. And when I was in junior high school, you took trades. So you had people that learned how to do things with their hands. Shop, you had mechanic shops, you had all kinds of stuff. When you take that middle layer out, and then you have nothing there, then you leave the young and starving to death. And one thing we know, the law of the jungle, if the lion is hungry, the lion will eat. So stop, we can't act like me, for instance. The reason I say what I say, I own a tow company, right? I hired people from my neighborhood that I grew up with. I caught the youngins, I taught them how to tow, I gave them jobs, because something along the lines of me going off track back then made me realize that I can't tell him not to do something, but not give him opportunity at the same time. So I'm not saying that you're wrong or incorrect. I'm just trying to say that if you open the door and there's nothing there, it's really nothing there.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, I could do something else or you could do something else. I'm sure that if a person that got robbed and had the means to give somebody a job would have had the opportunity to back it up a little bit and give this person a job, they would have did it. But because people are not pressed in these situations, they don't have any understanding. When they were coming up, it was way more opportunities. Not just opportunities as wanting to do landscaping. I'm talking about everything. A kid had a chance to go in the metal shop, anything. And then once he did it, I took photojournalism at Penn Center. I mean, I learned how to develop pictures and everything then as a kid. Yeah. What I'm saying is I had the opportunities. And then if you tell me that I still went another direction, then I'm almost down with the crime and punishment type shit. But if I have nothing to hold on to and I'm starving to death, and me and my sister eating beans or glizzies at night, some bullshit like that, that's crazy, bro.
Man, the money right in front of me. I ain't got no choice but to go that route. So, and it's not to make an excuse. It's to let you know what happened.
It's real.
You know,
it's real.
A job pay the bill. Your purpose elevates you to that next level. So I think without that man figure, which they took out our homes.
That's right.
So for a lot of us that was living in low income housing, we wasn't allowed to have our fathers in our homes.
He couldn't come there.
Yeah.
We could live there for free, but he couldn't
Claudine to give you that for the older ones.
Right.
They'll give you that movie. So now Daddy trying to figure it out because, you know, my father was in the Vietnam War. You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
He came home to nothing. You know what I'm saying? My last name had to get changed in order for my mother to have money once he died from cancer when I was 6 years old. Now, cause and effect. Now my brother, already a stone cold killer like my father, the only person who could calm him down and tell him what to do is dead. 2 years later, he gets killed. It's cause and effect, bro.
That's right.
It's intentional, you know? And I love brothers like you who I see doing prosperous stuff because you can show a younger how to get it done because you did it already and you doing it. But
if you don't open the door, he'll kick it in.
Yeah, that's the main thing. If you don't open the door,
he will kick it in.
I had this same conversation with a military dude, you know? He was like, those disrespectful young kids, they don't know how to bow down to authority. I said, man, if they seen something, you think Lil Johnny want to sell drugs? Lil Johnny watched his mother shooting that dope, you know what I'm saying? Smoking that coke, smoking that boat, you know what I'm saying?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's what he's saying. That's his reality. I don't know how to get a job because Daddy ain't here. Daddy wasn't there to stand up and show me that. These are not excuses. These are the facts of what took place. So now he 101. Everybody he knows selling drugs. Them shoes that he wanted, a part of the status quo, to be a part of the gang and hang out with. Oh, Lil Johnny got to sell drugs because mommy working 3 jobs just to pay the rent. You know what I'm saying? Right.
Hey, look, I always got to say one of my little sayings or stories or something, but let me say something, Ebou. I remember when I had my tow company, and that was at the height of my business, 13 trucks doing 3,500 tows a month, making an obscene amount of money. I'm dead serious. I went into a carryout. A kid walks up behind me, and he says to me, right, and I'd have had this happen a couple of times. He says to me, hey, my man. I said, what's going on? He said, I'm trying to get a job. You own the tow company, right? I was like, yeah, around the corner. He was like, yeah, I'm trying to get a job. So I looked at him like I do normally. And I said, shorty, how old are you? He said, I'm 16. I said, shorty, look, you way too young. They won't even put you on my insurance till you're 25. He said, but I turned around and went back to what I was doing. He said, you know what? You turned your back on me. He said, man, if I'd have put a pistol in your face and asked you the same question, I bet you'd had a different answer. Now, me, I'm from the street. So I had the biggest smile on my face you ever seen. I turned back around. I said, shorty, listen, let's start this over again. I said, you say you're 16. He was like, yeah. I said, okay. I said, then what would I do if I was 16? How could I get some money? I said, I'll tell you what. I said, I want you to ride with me in the tow truck and we'll go somewhere. I took him to a place where people donate cars. And it was a foreign guy there. And this foreign guy, he sells the cars. The weirdest thing about him, you could buy a package deal of cars from him. So let's say you wanted to buy 5 cars. You can actually give him $500 a piece for each car if you're willing to pay him up front. I said, you got any money? He said, I don't have no money. I said, now, call. You got anybody you can call? He called a cousin of his. He told his cousin, man, I can get woo. His cousin came by a Volkswagen Jetta. He bought a Volkswagen Jetta for a girl for $2,000, right? Shorty, he didn't give Shorty a dime for the play. As soon as he left with the title, the Arab dude said, hey, I'll give you the other 4 cars. I told him, my gift to you is I towed for free and I showed you the game. Right now, this kid has 4 tow trucks, right? He got his own little lot, and he still sells the cars or offer up and stuff like that. But I'm just telling you, he said to me, if I would have put a pistol in your face, you would have had a different answer. He told the goddamn truth, but I had to turn around smiling because I'm a vampire. I'm Count motherfucking Dracula. So when I turn around and see a little fledgling vampire, it made me smile because like he said, they be so hard.
Man.
And when they so hard, it make you go like this.
I remember that, yeah.
I remember being like him.
I remember that.
I remember my knuckles dragging the ground and being so thirsty, man, that my belly button touching my backbone.
Come on.
You know what I'm saying? And when you don't see that, and we don't see it so much, bruh, if I catch somebody breaking in my car, I'm gonna give them a vicious ass whooping. And you know me, I'm a victim of car breaking in on a regular. But I can't, if you ask me why he did it, bruh.
I know.
Bro, I'm like this because somebody ain't open the door. He knocked on somebody's door.
There you go.
And they did not open it.
They shut it in his face.
They shut it in his face. So he made a decision. It was cheaper to get a gun for $300.
There you go.
Right?
And I'm on the lid.
And I'm going to get me some money. And guess what? A lot of things come with what you said. And I swear to God, bro, I wish it was as simple if we had this basic one equation where we could do this equation and come out right and every kid come out right. And everybody does the right thing, but that's just not a fact. We don't even want to help each other with business. You can give me a business deal right now, right? And I can have the money in my left pocket. And you can say, if I had this, we could do this, that, and the third. But I so don't want somebody else to succeed that I don't even want to help you with money I carry in my left pocket.
A cancer in our community. It's a cancer. Always been like that. You could just imagine, I told you about the good. It gotta be bad that I'm getting too. You know what I'm saying? It gotta be something. Oh man!
Look, and if you can speak on it, we'll love to hear it.
No question.
Because at the end of the day, whoever's watching this, whoever's on live right now, this is just giving them an insight, and having them, second guess themselves. Think before you do something. Like we telling you stories that happen and reasoning why. We understand, but young fellas. Young ladies out there, you just got to do, man, what you can the right way. You know what I'm saying? And there's opportunity out there. If one person don't tell you, keep asking. The next person might. But, we just got to, man, first of all, stop the violence, stop all the break-ins and all that. And, this platform right here so we can shine a light on the people that's trying to help and that's doing the work, So...
Man, tell him the bad.
Man.
No, because that's the ward members and all these people he done seen work against their self-interest. I know what he about to say. Come on, give it to him.
I got off of NBC News. I'm in the kitchen. I'm literally crying because I just did some awesome shit. You know what I'm saying? And my son walked out, was like, you all right? I said, son, these tears of joy, boy. Mm-hmm. I just watched me on the news. My cousin sent me she sent me, while she was in the gym, the video of me on there. The first person who showed me, my cousin Key, showed me on the news and sent it to my phone. So I'm like, dang, we made it, baby. It's the showtime now. You know what I'm saying? So I go to sleep. My phone go off, text message. But I'm checking Instagram, and it was like, you didn't do nothing. You didn't check the guidelines. I'm basically getting the blame for an individual who didn't make it back. But what I want to say to that person, from learning how to understand trauma and these dramatic moments, if you would have gave up a little bit more time and devoted it towards what was going on, even if I didn't come, and I sent 3 of my kids to come, that would have made that opportunity open up for you just as much. Mm-hmm. But I was alone.
Can't be everywhere at once.
Yeah, I was alone.
Yeah.
Besides the nonprofit that helped me out and a few people who was coming, nobody was more consistent than me. That's how I'm sitting in this chair. Because I was the most, I want people to sit in this seat. That's what I say. Sit in this seat and realize what I found out.
I really do the work.
Yeah. Them late nights, I ain't have a job when I started this run, bruh. So I gotta look my 2 kids, when I took away from their time, and my wife now, I gotta look them in the eyes and say, I'm going over here chasing legacy. You know what I'm saying? Nobody don't want it. Them kids don't want to hear that. What's for dinner tonight? You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
But I still figured it out and was still handling business as far as dinner.
Right.
But it took off of my plate what I had to do.
That's right.
Your time is the most valuable thing you got, bruh.
People gotta understand.
And I gave it all. I put it on the line. Kill or be killed. I showed them what DC looked like.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, we the community, every community, DC or wherever else needs, activists like you, people that speak up for the community, educate the community, and just stays in their face. You know what I mean? Because people forget real quick. Everybody has a short attention span now. So, you reached out to us to come on this show. Like you said, like when you have, like you go on and, figure out where to go and who's listening and where to be heard. And, as soon as you hit us up, we were like, yeah, for sure. Like anything for that purpose to get your word out and just educate people, man. And, I would just like to say like that's to commend you and, keep doing what you're doing.
Thanks, bro.
You know what I mean? If you don't hear it enough, I'm sure you don't hear it enough. You know what I mean? You should hear it every day.
Man.
For real. But, you know what I mean? Like, I'm sure your work, those 200 and something people that are in their apartments right now, whether they give you the credit or not, like, they should give you your flowers now.
Man.
You know what I mean? And keep doing it, man. Like it's you found your calling.
Man.
Yeah.
It was a long journey, baby.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anytime you want to come back, man, you just give us a notice, man. Or,
and
I'm gonna be honest, anything you can do, anything we can do,
I can walk up here.
No question. Anything we can do, let us know. Like we not handicapped. I mean, if I got to pass out turkeys or buy the turkeys, you know what I'm saying? If I have to, it's that type of situation, I will.
Straight up.
You know what I mean?
I wish we knew you during the holiday season because we did a food drive here and gave away a lot of stuff just down the block. So but in the future, we'll definitely.
Yes, we got it. Yeah, we here now. We here now. Yeah,
we locked in.
We got summer programs.
Man,
we
no question.
Hey, talk about it.
I appreciate y'all for letting me come and speak on these things because we need those moments. And it's so cultivating to have so many different walks of life on this one stage. I hear the sister talk and I hear her education, like she deep.
Oh, yeah.
She deep. She'll tell you off. You know what I'm saying?
Well, one thing y'all should know is my sister actually helped co-write the Black History portion that they're now trying to push for the SATs.
Wow.
So Black history runs deep in my family, deep rooted, and I feel like you can't know where you're going if you don't know where you're going from.
There you go. There you go.
So people have to educate themselves the things prior, because those are the things, the frameworks that set up the way life is today.
That's where I'm at right now. I'm at that. I'm in them books heavy right now, man. American
what's your next venture that you plan on doing with the community?
Right now,
the next project you're working on there to get through.
Right now, it's about jobs. Right now, it's just so crazy that I always bump into somebody who wants to support what I have. I bump into a guy say, "I'm doing CDLs." So anything for the youngers that need to learn how to physically drive the truck for you, I'm doing that. You know what I'm saying? My barber, like, I cut. You know what I'm saying? Back to school day, I cut. So my thing now is to get them to have skills, bruh. You know what I'm saying? And to try not to go into the negative side and stay on the positive side to get them that, because you know where we come from and you know how easy it is.
The force is strong out here, young one. You go to the dark side, and you go to the light side. You know what after that.
Yeah, so I just want to provide more skills so they can pay the bills, man. Because that's where the violence coming from.
Yeah.
You know, they don't have no job.
Right.
The Summer Works program is at its worst. When Marbury had it, we was getting money, baby. we was getting money and for a long period of time.
Yeah, it was really you could tell he cared. Like, it was crazy. Like, and it was different, diverse. You can go anywhere in the city and get a job. Yeah. I mean, people laugh and joke. We talk about the police departments and all that stuff. I remember we were young and Georgetown was hot. and used to actually be able to go to the precincts and get a certain amount of cards, like you get Patrick Ewing or whatever. I know this is way back, fellas. But when I was a kid, you can get all the different players' cards. If you got all the team's cards, you can go back to the precinct. They would give you 2 tickets to a Georgetown game. That was the first time I'd ever seen a college basketball game and been on a college campus. Is when I went through the police department to get tickets. Yes. And it's kind of weird. What I'm saying is, I'm not saying that things were better back then, but at each time during the phases of life, things may be better at this point and not good at this point.
There you go.
At this point right now, it still boils down to that one foundation that Nate was talking about, and that's education.
Yeah.
If you don't have a good education, you can't do anything else. The foundation of education means everything.
That's the
Stay
method.
in school. I don't care how tough it is. Stay there. I don't care how mixed up it is. Matter of fact, I remember some kids. Well, some kids was in
That's
school.
everything.
They couldn't get a meal unless they came for breakfast and lunch.
Right.
They ate no dinner.
Yep.
So what I'm saying is, school has always been a catalyst throughout the test of times since slavery. What did the white man want you not to do? Don't teach the nigga how to read. Mm-hmm. What I'm trying to imagine, it's always been the oppression of education that keep people from understanding what position they in life. You don't know. That's why you vote against your self-interest. That's why you don't go to vote. That's why you don't show up to these meetings. That's why you don't understand that they about to kick you out of here. I didn't know I was poor until somebody told me I was poor.
I said the same thing.
You know what I mean?
I said the same thing. We did not know around there we didn't know we was poor.
We had a good time.
Look, we had a halfway house in our neighborhood, bro.
We running around by the danger box.
There you go, leaning on the danger box.
We don't even know.
We dead broke. You know what I'm saying?
It was a different.
That was DC right there, man.
Right.
Yeah.
Man, yeah. But I definitely appreciate having you here, bro. You made me feel good right now. I mean, don't get it mistaken.
You'll be hearing from him.
You will be definitely. If we hear from you,
Give him your social media.
I'm definitely gonna follow you. And anything, like I said, once again, Nate, you ain't been up the street. Man, you can walk your ass down here and guess what? And tell me what's going on. And man, if I can help you, I will.
My man.
Appreciate you, man.
My man. All right.
Appreciate you, brother.
Man, thanks for having me, man. All right.
I was about to say, Jay.
Our next topic, to switch gears, is going to be, we want to talk about this artificial intelligence stuff that's getting real right now, but I'm going to play this clip so you guys kind of get a frame of reference about what we're talking about. So I'm just going to put my phone up to the mic and then
explain to him what it is, though.
We're gonna.
All right.
Dangerous. Check this out. At a top robotics company in Japan this week, 4 robots being developed for military applications killed 29 humans in the lab. And they did it by shooting what he called metal bullets. I didn't know there was any other kind. The scariest part is that lab workers deactivated 2 of the robots, took apart the 3rd, but the 4th robot began restoring itself and somehow connected to an orbiting satellite to download information about how to rebuild itself even more strongly than before. This next sentence, this is a quote. I'm writing this down. I've been doing this for years. This is serious, Linda, but you're never going to hear about this in the news.
Although eventually it was destroyed, that's one win for the robots.
All right. That's enough. So basically right now, with all this artificial intelligence, and it's moving quick. So there's a chat, what is it? The chat GPT. 2 weeks ago, a reporter was talking to it, and I don't even know if I guess the AI was basically telling the reporter that it wishes that it was free and they could do what it wanted to do. This is, because the artificial intelligence basically is what it sounds like. It's a free thinking machine. Mm. You know what I mean? And for me, it's scary. I think technology is technology. It's great on certain applications, but of course, it can go left real quick.
Man, it definitely
We've seen this movie.
It's going left.
We've seen this movie. Anything like this is literally, and it sounds crazy when I say it, and people might not take it seriously, but this is Skynet, Terminator.
Take it serious, man.
If AI is in everything, we all are on our phones 24/7. Everything is connected in our homes to Alexa or something. You know what I mean? Our refrigerators, everything is smart now. Now you have
TV.
Now you have technology that can tap into. They just said, I don't know how true it is. I didn't know by fact checking, but if the artificial intelligent robot tapped into a satellite to figure out how to put itself back together, that is insane. Like,
but that's what we saw in the movies, though.
That's what I'm saying.
We see them do that in the movies, and now it's coming to
fruition. And we are the architects. Almost like I feel like we're the architects of our own demise. I'm not saying it's gonna happen tomorrow or in 100 years.
Man,
but if it keeps going like this, how are you gonna stop that?
Well, let's look at it like this. If we all grew up watching Star Trek, Terminator, all these different things. Remember, we laughed when we was on Star Trek. You seeing a phone. When Kirk used to open the phone.
Exactly.
We got flip phones. We went past flip phones. The first time you saw a FaceTime. Mm-hmm. These are all movies and stuff like that. And James Bond with the watch or the FaceTime. So all of these things came to pass. So don't believe that the artificial intelligence won't come to pass. The reporter you talking about, right? I don't know about that particular reporter, but they had another reporter, and he gave it an actual try and got online, got on it, and had a full dialogue. Mm-hmm. And this artificial intelligence told him to leave his wife, told him that she loved him, that they need to be together, the whole 9 yards. And he said that this thing was free thinking. So it's saying to me the things that I think that it wants to say to me, as if it was a prostitute or if it was a regular person. So he said, I can imagine I would be terrified if this intelligence was able to communicate with somebody who was not here on a specific purpose of exposing this story. Because the way they kept, this intelligence kept telling, I love you, I love you, I love you. But go ahead.
Hold on, because we found out in China, my man had the artificial wife, dog. Yeah. So like people are interacting with these.
You're right.
You know,
it's all these movies that we've seen. Ex Machina, man. Tom Cruise joint.
Yes.
Like it's literally happening in our. But it's crazy. It's happening in our faces.
Right.
And I don't know if people aren't really understanding what's happening right now. This shit is scary.
Some are.
To me, like, and I love technology. It makes shit a lot easier. I would love a robotic maid to just clean shit up. I can just throw my shoes and everything and did it. But it has to stop there. I don't want my toaster being able to freely think.
We got these Teslas,
like,
self-driving cars, all this stuff.
I got the shock jump.
Go ahead.
Right.
The shock, it was working for a while. Now it just do what it want. I be chilling, that jump start beeping and it go off the dock. I press it to clean now. It go back to the dock.
You don't even know what updates
and I'm like,
going on.
What I'm supposed to do? You know what I'm saying? Ain't no USB to none of that. So I'm like, man,
George is the tech guy here.
Yeah,
tech guy. So
but
I want him to chime in on
for real.
Here. And like, what is really happening with all of this AI? Where is it going? Is it dangerous? Is it not? Are we tripping? What?
All right. So from I don't know. Two. All right, there we go. So the way that I look at it from a computer science background. So the way you got to look at it, computers are intelligent but dumb, right? So AI essentially, from a definition standpoint, you got to look at it as the ability of a computer program to learn and think. That's what AI really is, right? And this goes back to 1950 with John McCarthy.
Like algorithms, kind of.
Yeah. So algorithms are pretty much... the backdrop to algorithms is what they call pseudocode, which is essentially you designing how and which to formulate certain things. Or like if certain things happen, it's like your algorithm is telling you, okay, if this happens, then this, then this, then that, then that, then this. You're basically creating a sequence of way of thinking, right? That's what they're basically doing. So based on certain things happening, then it'll behave a certain way, right? And you want it to do it on its own. So with AI, with these robots and what they're doing, they're basically... we are feeding it. AI is in everything, right? Like you just seen
McDonald's.
What's the name? Tesla guy. Just buy Twitter.
That's
People
right.
are like, why does he want Twitter? So he can see free speech? No, because he's into that shit. And he's taking all the information and data that we do to create human-like thinking.
So everything everybody's saying on Twitter.
That we're posting, the things that people are reacting to, everything that we do, they're collecting all this data. It's all about data. So when anything with program is about programming, it's all about the data, what you use to basically create the program. Now, the biggest part about AI or any computer program is the difference between it doing exactly what you want it to do versus what you tell it to do. So the issue that we have with programs is that sometimes what you're telling it to do is not what you want it to do. And then you have to go in and update the code so that it can do exactly what you want it to do.
Like a man.
Huh? Yeah. So, and we see the problems. We're dealing with it every day, right? That's why if you call a help desk line or you call some customer service, they got it, but they can only do what you told it to do.
Right.
Press 1 for this, 2 for that, 3 for that. If they don't have it in the program, it's not there. The computer can't help you. So that's the negative drawback to it. On the positive drawback, if they do program it to correctly do exactly what you want it to do and it can account for those things, then it works that way. The problem is there's nothing in man has created ever in life that has always been used for moral purposes and ethical purposes in a way that we can trust. There's been nothing on this kind of level. So if you can empower a robot to shoot guns and say whatever, part of the problem is, what do you describe as human? There's tests out there. There's a woman who did a TED Talk recently, right? Where they fed the AI the program and it was looking at a fish, right? But it had the fish in a man's hand. So the robot was looking for fingers as part of a fish. Because it couldn't tell the difference between a fish and the hands that was holding it, saying, this is the fish. So think about that from that perspective. Again, it always comes back to a human being. Human beings are imperfect, and we're going to create a robot to do something that's supposed to be perfect or that's going to create efficiency and things of that nature. And those are the issues that you're going to run into. There's a bunch of pros. If it's a repetitive, simple task, I'd rather have a robot do this repetitive, single task.
Like the car industry. When they got rid of people putting parts on cars, and you see the parts getting added and it keeps moving.
Exactly.
That's a simple task. It can be done perfectly by a robot because there's not a lot of work moving parts.
Exactly. And as long as it doesn't change, as long as you validated and verified that this is that, and that is this, it's perfect.
Yeah.
However,
but they taking it next level now.
He said when it comes to critical thinking, you have to change stuff up. The robot can't do it.
That's what it's, and that's why they're using social media.
Like this is a baby. The baby's crying. What do I do when the baby cries? Do I shoot the baby? What does the baby look like? Do I shoot the enemy with the red uniform or the blue one?
Exactly.
Oh, this guy, he just happened to have red on.
It's learning over time.
But that's why. But what you just played, Ebou, that test they did killed 29 people because they didn't know the difference.
Well, supposedly, because let me say this, because that right there, let me say this.
True.
Yeah, it don't mean it's true, but they showed us what they showed us in that video. Right. You know, but I'm just saying it can get to that.
It's a possibility, no question.
They don't know red from blue and baby and this and that. So that's...
Well, like I said, no computer we have made thus far can surpass what the human brain can do. Right. In fact, we only use a certain percentage of our own brains now. So but I definitely see the big picture in, if I just got something that was a killing machine and it killed everything with a heartbeat, it can work. If sometime we sitting around playing around on our phones, we ain't even on the phone could be sitting right here and it don't just come on and say something. We not stupid. Or if you open your phone up and you see ads that apply to what we was just talking about in here, and you know you have not looked up anything even close to that, then you know what's going on.
With iPhones.
That's right. It's artificial intelligence.
It out there where it was like making people aware of just the green dot.
That's right.
Are you aware that your camera's on?
That's right.
Your mic is on?
That's right.
Because you're not paying attention to it. And it happens right when you're switching apps.
There you go.
And you'll see the green light come on. You probably just ignore it because it's like, I'm not using my camera.
Right.
But is it on? Is it not?
Right.
And then being in the IT world, the one thing that I'll tell anybody is everything is made with a back door. There's no government entity that's going to allow you to create anything that's used for mass consumption that deals with technology. They don't have a backdoor
that they can't stop or get in there. Yeah,
exactly. That's where iPhone had a big headache many years ago because they were like, it was a very secure phone. The government wanted to use it. And they're like, no, we need in on this. Like, we need to know how to get in the backdoor chambers. And I don't want to go down that realm. But
so what about the BlackBerry situation?
There's certain things I can't say.
Oh, wow.
But what I can say is computers. At the end of the day, it's computers. It's still, somebody had to code it.
Put something in.
And every code is not foolproof. You know, even right now, like in the government space, one of the biggest things they're doing is called zero trust, where everything has to be validated and revalidated because they understand that the threats happen internally and externally, right? So no different. We can use on a low level. You can have friends. Sometimes the people who hurt you the most are the people that is closest to you. It's the same concept, right? So now when we give all this power to these AI, if somebody has the capability to hack those systems, then what happens when you're centralizing all these robots and you hack them and then now they're doing something else? We just finished seeing this shit with the Avengers and what was it with the Iron Man?
But we can take it to like even earlier stuff, like when I was a kid, the chess thing.
Yeah.
You remember when the guy who was the best chess player in the world?
Yeah.
He had lost to the computer. They had
IBM.
And guess what? He came back and he beat it. And then when he played to beat it again, like he said, the computer only knew what was
he
programmed
did.
to do.
Right.
So when he did things that were totally against the norm or out of the realm of thinking, the computer could only go as far as the last person in the program. But if it's learning as it goes,
learn now what you just did.
There you go.
Now it would defend itself.
You can't do that again, right?
Because everything comes down to a mathematical computation.
I love it.
That's what I would think.
Right.
But it's like
right.
that vibe.
Everything is math.
And I don't know how long ChatGPT has been, like they've been developing it, I'm sure for a long time. But it's been in use, I guess, for general consumption now for how long? Less than a year?
Yeah.
And it's already asking to be free. I'm just going to leave it right there.
They're giving it fake emotion.
My man.
Yes. So I'm just going to leave that right there.
Fake emotion, and they're using social media. Like that's what everybody has to understand.
Yeah. Information is king.
The biggest thing that's been happening over the last 10 to 15 years is there was a moment in time where the biggest issue was data. Data's always been an issue. It's been who has the data, who retains the data, how do you store the data, how do you protect the data, and things of that nature. But companies have been looking for ways. How do we get to our consumer? How do we better market to them? How do we better advertise them? How do we better target them? Government officials are looking at it from a protection standpoint. How do we get a better sense of who's a threat? Who's our internal threats, et cetera, et cetera. With the evolution or with this big explosion in social media, every human being has been willingly giving them their data from day one. You're telling them everywhere you are. Your GPS is on, your Bluetooth is on. You're showing every picture. You're showing them what you look like, when you looked at, who was you with, what's it like. They're looking at every venue and they're utilizing this information to create social profiles on everybody, whether you want to believe it or not. I'm not a full conspiracy theorist, but I'm conspiracy enough to know, hey, listen, if you don't trust people,
they're watching.
You always are calculating information. If you walked into a room and there's 10 people there and you don't trust nobody there, you are calculating information. Who's looking at me? Who's not looking at me? Who's standing next to who? Who can I trust? Who cannot trust? Just simply to protect yourself. So I just feel like
stop eyeballing me, Jay.
That's the world we're living in. So we got to be more conscious of that we're constantly giving away our data. We're going on websites now. Now, big thing is, are you accepting these cookies? And people are like, oh, yeah, let me go buy these shoes that I want. I accept the cookies. Yeah, you're accepting the data. You're accepting them to just load data on there so they know exactly how to market to you and how to whatever. Yeah, they want to know your buying patterns. How much are you spending? Where are you spending it at? What type of stuff do you like? And all they're doing is collecting data. That's the way the world is being ran right now. So we all got to be very conscious about what we freely give and understand that a lot of this shit is already way too far gone.
That's right.
Way too far gone. Way too far gone. People got their whole families on there. They got their whole family tree.
Grandkids, all that, straight up.
All that. You know what I'm saying? So we just got to be careful about that. Then you put your shit in the cloud.
Right.
That's a whole nother ball.
That's just that was my whole thing about just talking about the AI stuff. Just we got to be careful. I think we got to pump the brakes, but the brake it's not happening. I know it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen.
Did y'all see the thing? But they did. A dude. They had a filter for Kendrick Lamar's voice.
Yeah. We watched that earlier. So that's crazy.
They redid his whole voice.
Whoa.
That is the part that people must be most worried about.
You hear now with them. You hear now with
But if I could create you.
That's crazy.
And make you say something that you didn't even say.
Yo,
what's that? That's RoboCop.
It's crazy.
Yeah. We've been indoctrinated since day one. All those movies are indoctrination.
Man.
I'm a firm believer.
They're getting you ready.
I believe that.
They've been getting us all comfortable with the idea.
No, like Nate said, the people knew what you said. They knew 10 years from now.
It was already
it was
preordained.
What was said that how it's gonna be going.
Right. The speed bumps is what people don't take into account of. But like you said, when the AI get to thinking, it's gonna get past the speed bumps.
Facts.
You know what I mean?
I mean, again, it still doesn't know everything. It's all about what it's
keep looking for my space day right here.
So
we create it.
It's just data sources.
If social media is
the data
teaching
source.
it, then there's endless information. So
we building our aliens, man.
Yeah, and the basic thing is not to go on too far about it, but you got to think about just the most recent thing that happened. TikTok.
Yeah.
When TikTok first hit, the reason U.S. was like, hell no. Why? Because China owned the tech. They needed a U.S.-based company in order to do it because they're like, nah, we don't want you collecting our data. You can use this against us. So now you got to think about it. Why is the platform in the U.S. different from the platform over there? So you can see that there's a different model being used, and more importantly, that shows you that someone is trying to control it.
Absolutely.
And trying to get an understanding of that, and we are giving them the license to do so. So it's I don't know the answer to the problem. But I know that it's a very scary thing because I know there's a lot of people who don't live by the same morals or ethics that you would think.
Yeah, be aware.
Humanitarian based.
Yeah, be aware. Just be aware. Awareness.
We're along for the ride because we don't have a choice.
Yeah, just be mindful, man.
Well, I mean, being aware though means everything.
Just be careful.
To turn your phone over or to put it in a drawer and not bring it into a room with you, you just took control of a lot of stuff that the lower level things can get you on. Now, don't make a mistake in it, but high tech is high tech. You know, they can send a laser into your house and pull up everything you're saying while you're talking. So, I mean, what I'm saying is, but when you have a little ounce of prevention, be the pound of cure.
But they got robotic insects.
We ain't talking about nothing crazy.
I'm already here. They got Jones. They shooting your bloodstream now. All kinds of games they playing.
Literally, like they've already
nanotech this and that. Yeah,
robotic like gorillas. They'll put a robotic gorilla in the wild. And have it do the gestures or whatever, and they'll see how the gorillas interact. Eventually, they'll figure it out because it ain't hopping off trees and climbing and doing certain things yet. But imagine they can do that to put in. We could be sitting right here. Could be a mosquito sitting right there,
and it's already recording. Yeah, I got you.
Man, I kill all the mosquitoes, so man, they ain't even put it in something else.
It's crazy, man. Everyone's crazy.
Eddie just killed. Eddie done this. Look, I just killed $40 million in tech. Look.
Yeah, man, I get that shit out of here, man. It's like,
be vigilant with this AI stuff, man. It's good, but I see it just going too far too soon. It's crazy, and it scares the shit out of me. And I'm a fucking tech head, so I don't like it at all. I'm good where we're at right now. And that sounds crazy for me even saying that, to hear myself say it, but it's just certain things I feel like we shouldn't fuck with. We're already fucking with it. So we're going to see where it ends up and just pray for the best. But I don't like it. Good night, folks.
Good night.
Good night. Peace.
Every day a new day, new things, do things like my life a movie. Hey. Every day new day, move things, do things like my life a movie. Hey. Every day a new day, new things, do things like my life a movie. Hey. Every day new day, move things, do things like my life a movie. Hey. Pull up in a big man range, straight to the stage, make a big man play. Trade 5 others, our big man Jay.